Obviously, whenever you're working with images, they're either going to be printed or put into a PowerPoint. And SVG images are not going to work in that way. So this is a special image format that only a few programs can read. A printer or PowerPoint is not going to be able to do that. So if you want to save an image directly from Inkscape that is going to work in that way, you actually only have one option, and that's PNG. So you can go File, Save As, and then you choose Save As Type, and you get this long list. A lot of these are different versions of the SVG format, and you can go straight to PDF. And there's various other things that we'll talk about later, for example, the Windows meta file. But basically your only option is PNG, and here it's listed as Cairo PNG. So you would just click that, and then you can select your file name. So I'm going to put in something like, let's say, resized penguin. And you just click Save, and then you have a PNG file. So if I was then to go over to something like GIMP, for example, we see here we have resized penguin.png. I could just open that in GIMP, and there it is. So it looks pretty good. And remember, this is the same file we just saw, which we tried to enlarge to this size in GIMP itself, and it didn't work at all. The one drawback of this method is that when you save it as a PNG, it's always going to save the background color, even though we didn't technically have a background, so we get this white. And if I now wanted to merge this with some other kind of file, for example, we have this penguin family, and I could enlarge this and try and integrate this graphic into it. Well, that's a bit of a problem because we've now got all this white, and so what you then have to do is start getting your selection tools, and you have to start trying to select pieces of the image. And as you can see, because this is big, it's going to take a long time to make that selection, and then you can hit delete, which works okay, but it might not work for all images, and it's just a bit of extra work. So I'm going to show you a tip. GIMP is actually really our friend as far as this is concerned, because GIMP can actually open SVG files. So here we have vectorpenguin.svg, and this was our really tiny one, but just to give you an example, I just drag it into GIMP to open it with GIMP, and we get this render scalable vector graphics dialog, and you can actually choose the height and width right when you drag them in. So I'm going to put the height up to, say, 1000 millimeters, and the width changes accordingly. Simply click OK. And two things have happened. Number one, the background is perfectly removed for us. And by the way, this is going to work a lot better than your selection tools will actually work. If you really zoom in, these edges are absolutely perfect. And even the fuzzy selection tool with some good edges like this is not going to give you this kind of quality of detail. And so you don't have to worry about doing that. And the other thing is that it's actually scaled this image for you before it's brought it into GIMP. So this image that we brought in was the one which was actually originally really tiny, and you can actually just specify the size that you want it and just open it directly in GIMP. So if all you want to do to the images that you save in the SVG format is have them increased to a certain size, then you don't actually need to open them in Inkscape at all. You can just drag them into GIMP, type in the size that you want the image to appear, and it's going to appear with absolutely perfect detail every time. Plus, of course, the bonus, we have this transparency for us, and we can then put in any kind of background. And just to show you something like that, I'm going to create a new layer and click OK. If we drag this new layer to the bottom, if we were to select any random background color, for example, this red, fill the background layer with that color. If you look really closely at this penguin's feet, you'll see that it brought in that really nice shadow that it had. We can see here it's got this really nice fading shadow. And so it's brought that perfectly into GIMP. And if you had done this as a PNG and tried to use your selection tools, this is the kind of thing that's not going to come out so well. So this is a fantastic way to work, and it's going to save you a lot of time. and it's going to give you some absolutely brilliant results. In order to download Inkscape, which incidentally is open source and therefore completely free, you can just go to any Google engine and type in Inkscape. Surprise, surprise. So if you just click the first link that comes up, you'll see this Inkscape Draw Freely link, and that's the one that we need. And in this left-hand section, you get a whole lot of these options, and what you want is download. So simply click download, and you get the official release packages. So you want to find the one that's going to work for your computer. Here we have Mac OS, so you're going to need one of these. You also get Windows Installer. So it's the same as downloading and installing any other program. You just click on a particular link, and you'll get a file that's going to download, and then you just run that to install the program. So nothing out of the ordinary there, and it's very simple, and it'll actually install very, very quickly.